live though, because sometimes it'll tell me that I go live, and like once it tells me I go live, I'll start talking, and then I'll watch back on the thing on the live, and it won't get my full of me starting to talk. Like it'll like cut off like the first bit, almost like I wasn't actually live when it told me that I was live. Almost like the world is just filled with lies in the live stream, in the live stream, doing the stuff and the things, and the stuff and the things in the live stream, because it's a live stream, specifically because it is a live stream, talking about the stuffs and the things and the stuffs and the things and the theisms and the atheisms and the gods and the not gods and the stuffs and the things and the stuffs and the things. Yeah. In the live stream specifically. Completely forgot what I was doing. I'm in a live stream. How could I ever forget the live stream, doing the live stream in the live stream? I just drew a blank on trying to open all my tabs. You know, the tabs that should have been open before I started the live stream but aren't open because I hate myself. Because I just refuse. I want to start the live stream. There's so much extra stuff, not really, but there's so much extra stuff that I have to do before I hit live every night. I just want to hit the button. I want to go live and hit the button and start doing the live stream. Because it's a live stream. In the live stream. Doing the stuffs and the things and the stuffs and the things in the live stream, yeah. 7 sides, you need something. I didn't read what that was. I guess I don't care. When you open like the Google thing and it tries to tell you like, this news thing, or 7 signs that you need to do whatever, and I just like sometimes care. In the live stream. How could words ever convince a skeptical mind? Do some psychedelic with me? You know, that's definitely a proposition. You know, that's definitely a proposition. I'm gonna have to pass, but you know, it's definitely a proposition. How do I forget how to do this every single time. And of course, psychedelics don't do anything. I mean, that's not true. Let me finish the sentence. Psychedelics don't do anything to prove the existence of a god or demonstrate the existence of a god, because what you're seeing while you're, you know, psychedelicalized is, you know, the psychedelics in effect. I picked a bad place to stop, to put a pause on the on what I said. I feel like that's like famous last words. Like you just have like a handful, like a giant handful of psychedelics. It's like psychedelics don't do anything, and then you're just gone. It would be a way to go. Not recommended at all, but would not be a good way. You have glasses? I have glasses. You can see my glasses. That's probably why you said you have glasses, because you saw that I had glasses. I have nothing plugged in. Ill preparedness. At its finest. Professionalism. I don't recommend it. They can be very strong. It's just crazy the experiences you can have. I'm not a drug person personally. No, this is the wrong cable. Where's the right cable? Where's the water? Why did I? Does that other thing take? I'm completely lost in my own. I don't need psychedelics just to be completely out of it. I just need to exist. I I need to I wake up in the morning not knowing what the fuck's going on. It's life, man. What about Dubai? Adorable? Well, thank you. It's been like 4 years. I was heavy into that stuff. Well, I'm glad you got off of it. Sounds like you're kind of glad to be away from it. That's good. I don't know. I think having the drinking problem was enough, and getting away from that is like I'm done. Like, just never mess with anything related to any of that stuff ever again. It's just kind of the boat that I'm in. Just not doing it. Hello. I made a post recently about some of my controversial, it's not even air quotes, there are controversial views that shouldn't be controversial. Somebody asked if I was running for something, like an office or something, said they would vote for me. Don't vote for me. Don't ever. I wouldn't be running to begin with. But if something went so wrong in my brain that I did run, don't vote for me. I don't know what I'm doing. I would break everything in a position of power as soon as it reached my hands. I am not qualified.
There's a freaking creepy ass black spider up top here.
Nice.
I have no clue if it's black or not.
Does it have the hourglass?
It's just a big brown. I'm too short. I can't see up there. But it's like right underneath it, or I'm like.
It either is or it isn't.
I'm just gonna get in the house.
We have that special chemicals that we can spray it with.
Huh?
Run for president, bro. Yes, I break it all immediately. I'm not smart enough to be in power. This is 7 minutes and 45 seconds ago. Yeah, she's still awake. But like, you were on your way home, it's like, it's fine. Try to keep her voice out of the live.
I wanted to get off earlier, but with the store's new freaking policy.
Can't.
Stupid.
No. I did get to block a few people today. Because I made a post. Because the Trump administration wants to ban transgender people from owning guns. Even though the vast majority of mass shootings have been done by cisgender men in this country. And I said that, and I said, but sure, ban trans people from owning guns, that'll solve it. And, you know, I'll engage with some transphobic rhetoric and stuff in live chat. Don't ask me where the disconnect is. In live chat, I'm much more tolerant of it. In comment section, 90% of the time, I'm just banning you, blocking you. And especially if it's just, you're just saying stuff that's wrong. Hello. Like somebody said, the last 6 mass shootings have been done by trans people. Shut the fuck up. No, they have not. It's just wrong. Who wins? I have no idea. Nice. Always fun. I don't really need to know that, Lupin. I'm just gonna boop. Just gonna hit that button. I don't need to know that information, you know? I don't need to. But yeah. Or somebody said, "Oh, what? So you want?" Somebody said, "Oh, so you want mentally ill people to have guns now? Make up your mind." I don't know what the make up your mind thing is. I don't think I've ever advocated for taking away any guns on this platform. But also, being trans isn't a mental illness.
She has requested her eye.
I gave it to her. Oh no, I gave her one of something.
She has Jenna.
Okay. Box? Small box.
I just brought this in.
No, yeah. There it is. Probably. Or is that the giraffe? Okay. I have no idea where her thing is.
Where is RM?
That sounds hot. Why did you ban him? I just don't need to know. I just don't need to know. Smart, thank you for saving our eyes. I'm trying here. Just don't need it. Frankly. Just not a fan. I think I brought it home. I don't know.
She said something about it being on the couch.
I have no idea. You could have taken him out on a date or something. I mean, like, if you memorized what his name was, you could, like, go find him or whatever. He was also named after a Harry Potter character. So, he's got that going for him. Somebody tried to argue that in defense of, like, trans people losing their rights to guns, they pointed out the suicide rates among trans people. And they gave statistics that I don't know are true, but I should say self-unaliving or whatever rates are high among trans individuals. And they were arguing taking away their gun rights would actually save them. And I argued taking away one method that they can take their lives rather than actually addressing the issues that are making them take their lives is not going to have the effect that you think. To which they responded, taking away one way that they can harm others, guns, isn't, rather than addressing why they're shooting people, isn't going to have the effect you think. Which we've only had like a handful of trans mass shooters ever. So like, let's not pretend like it's a huge like trans community problem. And I responded to that by saying, when did I ever advocate for taking away rights, taking away gun rights? And they didn't respond. And then the message disappeared. So I don't know if they deleted it or Threads grabbed it. Because it was on Threads, and Threads doesn't like certain things. And we were talking about, we were using some words that Threads might not like, so.
She wants to find
There's that.
RM.
You need to find RM.
She wants to find her RM. Where's her RM?
I don't know where her RM is.
Where did you put RM, baby?
I need to make sure she's not on camera.
This is Mama's. This is Mama's. Yeah. That Mama just brought home from work.
Did we bring it home?
Did you bring it home?
I prefer a femboy more than trans. To each their own.
Cece, that's Mama's. You gotta find RM. Go find RM. Where'd you put RM?
Well, what's in here?
Another one. Find RM. You wanted to find RM. Where's RM?
I don't think it's out here. I'm trying to remember if we had to have brought it.
Did you bring it home?
We had to have.
Yes. I also cleaned it home. Where's RM?
When is the move happening? Hopefully in a couple weeks. Fingers crossed. It's kind of been a journey. Well, we might have to find it in the morning, my love.
No.
Is it not in the dining room or anything on the table?
She said it was on the couch.
It's not on the couch. Why does my daughter sound urban? I could not tell you. What?
Oops, my bad.
That's okay. It's not actually doing anything.
Sorry.
What is it exactly that makes God of Abraham so popular to people in society? When just looking into its beliefs and foundation alone, I can see what's wrong with Judaism, Christianity, Islam in less than 5 minutes. Culture, tradition. One group prevails over others, and that's just kind of the one that prevailed. There's a few things that have gone into the Abrahamic religion's rise to power. I'm trying to keep my daughter out of the frame. I don't even like that her voice is on the video, but
Okay, honey. Come here. It's not over here.
What are you doing?
I have no idea where it is. I don't think it's in here anywhere. Unless she put it in one of these buckets.
What are you doing?
You're looking here. See if you can find where it's in here. He said unless you put it in what?
One of these baskets under here? That's the only other place I can think. Tell Taylor to quit ducking the stream. Was it in the basket? Nice! There we go.
Baby girl. Mommy found our end. Here you go.
What is he?
In your back.
Can I say hi? I don't think I can, Jane, because I don't trust things. Oh, I forgot to switch to live chat. Are you going to have a second child? Maybe. She sounds white. She is pretty white. You do come from mostly white. Taylor is, my wife is a quarter Mexican. Her grandfather is Mexican. So my daughter's an eighth Mexican, so she's not completely white. I am very white, though.
Okay, so who said my name?
Mixed, I'm going to remove that comment because we don't like using that word or something that sounds like that word. Well, you've just been avoiding the live streams lately.
I'm not trying to.
You
Hi,
just-
I'm here.
You've just been avoiding it lately.
Hey, you're the one who chooses when you go live. You have chosen to do it.
I don't choose when I go live. I just kind of randomly like, hey, this is
You choose it.
this is a good night to do it, and so I do it.
When I've been working.
I'm not particularly sleep deprived tonight, so I'm like, hey, why not just like do a live?
While I'm working.
Has this bouncy ball always been squishy?
To an extent. I don't know about that squishy.
Yeah. Why is it a joke? I don't like those kinds of jokes. I don't like. And then people say, "Oh well, most of the shooters have been Democrats. Don't forget about that." One, I don't know if that statistic is true. It might be. I don't know. Two, I'm not Democrat. I frankly hate them both, Republican and Democrat. I think our entire political system is just an absolute disgrace. Nice. I really need to pull up that plant.
Because that was unpleasant. That was very unpleasant.
So you've never had what most people would have classified as a spiritual experience, out-of-body experience, ego death. I've had times where I thought that I was having some kind of experience, or I thought God was talking to me or giving me signs or wonders, or, you know, this thing happened and there's no other way I could explain it, so I explained it with the supernatural at the time or whatever. Sleep paralysis. Used to think that was demons attacking me. That was fun. That was super cool. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. But yeah, I've had experiences that I thought at the time were spiritual. But upon looking back in further investigation, I realized I don't have any good reason to believe that that's what they were. Just turning on the kitchen lights on and
Just
off.
hit the thing.
No, I shouldn't have to.
Well, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't have to, but it might be what you have to do.
Boop.
There you go. That's my second favorite.
Okay. So you are gonna like collect all of them. You order McDonald's enough. You might actually collect all of them.
We have 4 out of the 7.
Taylor's collecting the BTS little action figures from McDonald's.
Here's Jungkook.
My weekends I working, living, doing my thing. It's been a lot of Muslims. It's been a lot of white guys.
Some people are actually going and, just buying them outright from McDonald's. Just buying the toys from McDonald's. I like the hunt.
You like the hunt?
I like the hunt. It's fun. The mystery.
Sleep paralysis demons. Sleep paralysis is great. It's fantastic. I used to have it a lot more frequently when I believed in like the supernatural and demons and that demons were out to get me and whatnot. After losing that belief, I don't know if I've really had a proper sleep paralysis situation since becoming an atheist. So that's pretty cool.
We just need 3. 3 more.
I stopped having nightmares and stuff about demons attacking me when I stopped believing in demons. Isn't that interesting? When I stopped, and therefore stopped being scared that demons were constantly out to get me and coming and attacking me. What do you know? Isn't it wonderful how that works? How that stuff just goes on in your head. I'm just finding random stuff to play with tonight. Got a bouncy ball, I found a squish ball.
Yeah.
Power of the mind is very strong. Indeed.
We only need Jin, Sugar, and V. Those 3.
I don't even know what all of their names are.
They're right there.
This is the one where I just haven't
You
really.
can study them.
No, I haven't really gotten into the K-pop bands.
You at least know my favorite.
Yeah,
Come on.
I forget all of them. It's not really my cup of tea.
You literally went to see him, and you don't remember his name.
J-Hope.
It's J-Hope.
Okay, cool.
J-Hope.
Now, that's not to say that I'm not into boy bands. I have been. There's not as much as I get older. And there's 7 BTS members. Like, jeez. I want to find a bisexual guy to date who cheats on me and degrades me and gaslights me into thinking my actions are the reason why he chooses to cheat on me.
Why would you want that?
You know, to each their own. That we call that a toxic abusive relationship, and I would hope that nobody finds themselves in a situation like that. But to each their own. Not gonna stop you from your happiness.
Minori?
No. You do you. Kitten. Do you remember how to get all the normal chat on my phone? Did we ever figure out how to get the normal chat on my phone? Because I'm in like top chat on the phone.
Oh, you're back to the top chat, not the live?
Yeah. What I know I can do it over here. What'd you just do? What'd you just do? The bookmark?
Yeah. Chat filter.
Why is it a bookmark? That's the bookmark logo.
And I'm the one who figured this out last time,
No,
too.
it's a message box with a thing. God, YouTube, fix your freaking stuff.
And I figured this out last time for you, too.
Fix your.
You're welcome.
This is why you need to be in the lives. I've been wondering about this like the past couple lives. I was like, I forgot, and Taylor's not here to help me.
Do your lives when I'm home.
I can't always do that.
Sounds like a you problem.
sounds like you need to like not work.
Oh, I would love to.
I would love if you didn't have to work.
I would love if I could just do.
And he will be a tall, beautiful man with a tight body. He will be raised by a cold and emotionally aloof mother who starved him of attention as a child. You can write a book about that. You just write a book, you know, mixed shades of gray or something.
Check on my phone too. There we go. Now I can see all messages.
Sounds like you got a whole thing going.
Well, thanks, Matt.
Matt says you were adorable. Well, thank you, Matt. I don't know why this thing turns on sometimes.
I don't know.
Where's the button? So how was work, sweetie?
It was work.
It was work.
Honestly, it was a pretty chill night.
I'm good. I was pretty slow today.
But then again, there are some games going on tonight. There are some games. Starting football season, apparently.
Yeah, that was on. I made a post. I'm making some political posts recently. It's good. Thanks for asking, dear. I made some political posts recently. I said, if you're calling for action against trans people after this recent shooting, when such a tiny percentage of shooters have been trans, then you don't actually care about the shootings. You're just using this event to justify your ignorant bigotry, and it's just sad and disgusting. And somebody summons, you mean just like how y'all love using school shootings as a soapbox to try to push the government to ban guns? Wow, another lefty being an absolute hypocrite. I've never advocated for gun bans. Maybe if both sides stopped ignoring the real issues instead of harping on the same stupid talking points. Shake my head. I kind of agree with you. And then I did ask, because I had to know. Because, you know, I knew they wouldn't have a good answer. I asked, what do you think the real issues are? And they say, the massive rise in mental health issues and the root causes on why it's on the rise has a lot to do with the crap corporations are allowed to feed us. From the food being toxic to Big Pharma pumping people with SSRIs and other wild pills. So you're listening to RFK. I automatically don't care what you have to say. I did not respond. But it's just, don't get me wrong. A lot of my beliefs and the Epstein files remain private. Release the files. Unedited Epstein files. Complete and unedited. Or let the victims do it and don't stop them. That's what I'm worried about. Because the victims want to compile their own list, which, hell yeah. I'm so worried that the government is just going to go after them or something. It's like, no, they've been through enough. Leave them alone and let them call out their abusers. Dicks. But, like, don't get me wrong. I hold a lot of views that, you know, Democrats and liberals and, you know, leftists hold. And I would say I'm much more left-leaning. But I'm not completely aligned with everything. So it's just because I'm an atheist and that most of my ideas are left-leaning, they assume that I'm completely everything on the left-leaning Democratic list. Like the person who called out, you know, a lot of the shooters have been Democrats too. What's that supposed to do to me? What's that supposed to say to me? Democrats suck too. If you're a Democrat, I'm sorry. Both of them are just, the United States politics is just an absolute shit show. Democrat and Republican. And I'm fucking tired of it. Man. And I've been making more political posts lately because I'm losing my mind, frankly, at just continuing to watch as facts, as care for our fellow humans, as empathy, which is more or less the same thing, continues to get completely bulldozed by bigotry. Ignorant bigotry, fear-mongering rhetoric, religious doctrine, whatever else. It's just, we're losing. We're losing the fight, and I don't know what to do about it. And so politics is not the main point of this channel. I mostly try to keep it just, you know, the whole atheism versus theists dialogue, you know, helping people question their beliefs, helping people to deconstruct, spreading secular humanism, all that stuff. But I try not to really dip into politics too much. But fuck, am I finding it harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to not speak out, because it's just, I'm losing my mind just watching it. They will all fall out of windows over the next few months. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about. I'm so scared that something's going to happen to these victims now that they're trying to compile this list. Like, I just, fuck, protect them at all cost. Please. I just, gosh. And it's just getting worse. It's getting worse. It's just ignorance and stupidity. Like when the person who started parroting RFK, I lose all confidence in you if you think that RFK is in any way, shape, or form someone you should be taking any medical advice from. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's harming people already, and it's going to keep harming people, and I'm just losing my mind. Losing my mind. The Bible states atheists and LGBTQ are going to burn in hell if they don't repent. I don't want this for any of you. Please repent. I'm here for you if you need help repenting. I feel like one of the least answered questions, and I've been tempted just to post it just as a question on my platforms, but I don't want to sound like I'm rage baiting or anything. Why should I believe in the Bible? Why should I care what the Bible says? The Bible says this. Why should I care? What credibility does the Bible have? Why is it worth listening to? Why do you think it's fact? Why do you think, if it is fact, that the being who inspired the authorship of it is someone worth listening to? Just why should I care? And that's one of like the least answered questions that I get. Why should I care? I don't care. I try not to be, I try not to just let my brain kind of shut off when people say certain things. I try to like be open and engaged regardless of the conversation. But when people start throwing Bible verses at me, I don't care. I don't care. The Bible says I don't care. Why should I care? The Bible is getting proven every day, though. How so? I do not care. And I have yet to be provided with reason to care.
Okay.
It's a kitty.
It's a Smokey.
Kitten.
Smokey.
Cooker. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
I'm hoping tomorrow's pretty chill. And then I have 2 days off.
We need to get caught up on truck.
Oh, your guy told me to tell you success. He just says success. So I'm guessing they were successful tonight.
I'm guessing they're pretty well caught up, hopefully. Hopefully Night Crew can finish up whatever needs to be finished up.
Yeah, he came up to me at the end of the night. He's like, success. I'm like, okay.
Work. When you're in charge of a department.
I love how I'm not in your department, but your people give me updates for you.
Well, to pass on
Yeah.
the message.
I love how a couple of your guys have literally just like, they've been kind of nervous when I come up because they're just like, it's the boss's wife. And I'm just like, guys, come on.
Night Crew sounds cute. Some of them are pretty cool. The store we work at, the supermarket, whatever you want to call it, without revealing the location.
It's a supermarket.
Supermarket is open. Well, it's not open 24/7, but it's running 24/7. There is never not people there running product. What do you think of the Kalam cosmological argument? Let me please refresh myself on what that is. I've looked at it a couple times, and I don't. You know what? Actually, you can explain it, because sometimes people have their kind of different takes or tweaks on the Kalam cosmological argument, or any arguments that they bring forth. So I would actually. Now, I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but I would actually like if you could explain it to me. What is it in your words? Not like that I should know one of the most popular arguments. I do. Is I have that brain where if I don't use information on a regular basis, my brain throws it out. And there's so many different things to learn. Like I've learned the Kalam. I've learned the ontological argument. I've learned all of Aquinas' 5 proofs. Couldn't recite any of them to you at the moment. I assume that's premise 1. Everything that has a beginning needs to have a cause, okay?
I feel like I could not do to you what I was doing to our daughter yesterday, saying, what color?
Could not. I'm colorblind. Fun fact. Premise 2, the universe has a beginning. The current
like you
state of the universe, definitely. Things get a little complicated when you, but sure. Therefore, the universe has a cause. Okay?
You get this one.
Blue? No, it was when I went to the eye doctor. And it was like a new eye doctor that I've been going to a couple times. And they gave me a colorblind test. It was the first time going to the new one. And they gave me a colorblind test. And then later on, the doctor came in. She goes, do you know you're colorblind? I'm like, yeah. Hello, fellow atheist here. Believe what you want to believe. Don't let people tell you what to believe unless it is proven fact. Sure.
You might get this one.
Believe what we have reason to believe. Clear? Does it have a yellowish tint to it?
It is yellow.
Yellow, okay.
There is a clear one in here.
Moral compass, so everything has a beginning, sure, and a cause. The universe, at least the current state of the universe, had a beginning, therefore it had a cause. Cool. What does that do for us? What does that do for us? In terms of like a God. I assume you're trying to make an argument for the existence of God, because that's usually what the Kalam is used for. But I'm trying to figure out what. Pink? Mm-hmm. Hey. Red? Orange? Cool.
Just testing you on colors now.
Okay. Well, moral compass. I just want to. I don't know how that gets us to a God. I'm not like immediately trying to smash your argument. I just kind of like want to keep going through it a little bit. Purple. Nice. So that cause should be uncaused, timeless, and immaterial. Here's the problem. Also super powerful because it made the whole universe, Here's the problem. we have Big Bang or Big Expansion. Prior to that, we have no idea. We have no idea what could have been there. What, there's some people arguing that the universe has always existed in some kind of state that is eternal and it just changes forms as it goes. I don't know if I'm fully on board with that, but we don't know what happened before the Big Bang. And some people argue that it doesn't even make sense to ask that because time and space as we know it seem to have begun with the Big Bang. And so asking what happened before time, before there was a concept of time in a space, before there was space, it's a weird thing. But like, I get that a being such as you've described could probably create a universe, but it just ultimately becomes God of the gaps of like, we don't know how it works. How could it have worked? It doesn't seem to make sense based on, the laws of physics and what we know about the universe. It just couldn't have happened, in this way and that way. We just have no understanding. Therefore, it must be God. And that doesn't work. If we have no idea and nothing seems to work, then we just don't know. We don't prove God by exhausting other options. We prove God by having evidence for a God. Pink?
No.
Teal?
It's kind of a teal.
I don't know.
It's more green than teal.
Oh.
There is a teal in here. But this is more green.
So yeah, like I'm on that boat of like, universe is weird. People are weird. How did any of this come to be? What happened? I'm completely on board, and I agree when a lot of people bring up these cosmological arguments. Sometimes they'll go through of like, it can't be this, it can't be this. This doesn't explain it. This doesn't explain it. This doesn't explain it. And like, I'm there. I'm with you. And then it's therefore God, and I'm led to a hole. And it's like we've exhausted all of our explanations. We have no explanation. Therefore, it's God. It's like, no, therefore whole. Therefore, we have exhausted explanations and we don't know. God is...
This is the teal.
That doesn't look anything like the other one that you brought up. God is the being that is uncaused, timeless, immaterial, and super powerful, which does follow from the fact that the universe has a beginning. But you still haven't demonstrated that a God exists. I can make up, a being that can poop ice cream and say that that's really where ice cream comes from. And I can say, it poops ice cream and its dandruff is sprinkles. And, different toppings like cookie dough and chocolate chips come from different orifices and pieces and bits and whatever else. And I can come up with a being that perfectly is able to make ice cream and explain everything about how we get ice cream and how ice cream can come into being without that being actually being real. So it's like, I understand we have this God's concept and this God that can do everything is outside of time and space and whatnot, and it's a nice easy plug-in to play God of the gaps with, but it still doesn't demonstrate that it exists in any way, shape, or form.
Teal, blue, and green.
I'm sorry, hold on. That looks wrong.
Looks wrong?
It looks like you're hurting it.
Maybe. And I know there's like a orange, a yellow, and a red, but the red really almost just looks pink.
It's like a light red or something.
There is like a pink one, but there is also just like a red one that like looks so much like the pink.
Also in my video about controversial political views, my controversial views being that I think the Epstein files should be released. I think that we should stop funding genocide. I think that we should stop messing with advancements in modern medicine. And I think that the Constitution should be followed, especially by politicians. And I don't think those things should be controversial. And it's very sad and frustrating that those things are so fucking controversial. And somebody commented, who finds this controversial? Republicans, conservatives, a good chunk of the U.S. And they said, do you have any actual controversial takes? Maybe especially controversial to the left? Why do you want me to fight the left? Like, why do you want me to fight the left? Things described in the Bible being discovered by archaeologists, like the Pool of Siloam, Hezekiah's Tunnel, Erastus inscription, and inscriptions just to begin with. And the Bible is the oldest historical text we have, and it is still being proven true. There is also prophecies of the end times that have come true, like persecution of believers taking place. So in literature, there's a concept called historical fiction. And the best example I have of that is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer is about Abraham Lincoln, a dude that existed, and goes through events of his life and some facts of his life that happened. But he was also fighting vampires. I don't think the real Abraham Lincoln was actually fighting vampires. So, and the Spider-Man comics. Spider-Man takes place in New York. New York exists, but that doesn't mean that Spider-Man exists. You know, they can have the Empire State Building in a comic book, but that doesn't mean that the comic book is true. So it seems to me that the Bible definitely draws from some historical people, places, maybe some events, but adds some kind of mystical element to it. And that's the element that I don't have reason to believe in. The fact, and I mean, it's exactly what I said, you know, not really repeating myself, but like the Pool of Siloam. And some of these, they have or haven't. Some of them, you know, I don't know these ones specifically, but I do know there are some archaeological sites that people have found that have claimed to be something from the Bible, and it's not. So it's not all of them. But just because these sites exist doesn't do anything to prove any of the magic being done in the Bible. The Bible is the oldest historical text we have. Pretty sure we have books written longer than the Bible, including some books, some ancient Hebrew texts and whatnot that are no longer a part of the Bible. The Torah came before the Bible. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. I don't know if any of the Eastern, some of the Eastern religions might be older. I should know this, but I don't, so I won't use it. But also, the historical text is something that we want to stay away from because it's not historical. It's been proven wrong a lot of times. And the prophecies of the end times, they're coming true. The prophecies are very, very broad and open to interpretation. And for the last, 2,000 years, people have been saying, oh, this is that sign from Revelations that we're in the end times, or this is that sign from Jesus that we're in the end times. And then, the next generation say, oh, no, that wasn't the sign. This is the sign, next generation. No, that wasn't the sign. This is the sign. So many generations have come through thinking that they're the last generation, that they're going to see the end of days in their time. And then they didn't. Because it's just, the prophecies in the Bible are just way too broad and can be plugged into any number of things. And people keep plugging it in and keep getting it wrong. And the world still hasn't ended. So it's the boy who cried wolf at this point. So those are a few things. What do you think about the Second Amendment? I don't really have an issue with it. I was talking about that earlier in the live, actually. It's in human nature to say God is behind what we don't know, but we should break that line of thought. We should. I think the concept of the supernatural probably went back to the very first time a human or a human ancestor said, I don't know what this is, therefore it must be magic. or something divine or supernatural. That's what the supernatural and the divine seem to stem from, is ignorance. In looking back at human history, we used to plug all kinds of supernatural and divine explanations into natural phenomenon, insect swarms, natural disasters, diseases, the sun rising and setting, the seasons changing, eclipses, all this stuff we used to think were something divine or supernatural, but now we have just natural, credible explanations that have no need for the divine or the supernatural for them. So that line of thinking has failed us repeatedly and continuously throughout human history. So yes, it is a concept. This I don't know, therefore it must be something magical or divine or whatever. I absolutely agree needs to be thrown away. So then how did the Bible that the I'm sorry. So then how did the Bible that the moon would turn red, which is confirmed and NASA is saying it is rusting, is scientifically impossible? It also predicted the time would slow down, and NASA confirmed it. So I would be very, very careful not to listen, and maybe I'm completely wrong here, but not to listen to any video that you watch on social media. Because I've heard a lot of the points that you've said on videos and social media where people come up really, really confidently and talk about all this stuff. Scientists are confirming this, and they'll show this archaeological site that isn't even the archaeological site that they're talking about, that confirms that it's actually this, even though it's not. And I've seen a lot of videos debunking it, and you can do some of your own research and debunk it yourself. It's you need to do more than this TikTok that you saw that says they found, and this, I know this isn't one of your points, but they found what was supposed to be the tomb of Moses. So, it's that there goes. It confirms the Exodus account, even though we have no reason to believe that Moses even existed, or that the Israelites were ever in Egypt to begin with. So, it's the evidence is not on your side the way that you think it is. And I would recommend trying to listen to some of the opposition when it comes to some of these videos, and to do some of your own research to try to find out what both sides of the argument are saying. Yeah, Mesopotamian cuneiform, I'm probably butchered that, records are much older than the oldest copies of the Bible. I know there's some, I just couldn't think of any off the top of my head, writings that are older, so I didn't say. Would you ever do OnlyFans? Sure. Money's money. I don't think Taylor would like it, so I don't think I'd be able to do it, with her in the picture, but like, the Epic of Gilgamesh is considered the oldest known story in the world. I know it's up there. There are Black Israelites who train in Harlem. They hate white people openly. It's wild. I have heard about the true Israelites, and wild is a good term. I think wild is a good, solid term to use. I think that's accurate. Some of the little colds and stuff that move the couch. Some of the colds and stuff that spring up are just interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting that different spiritual and religious beliefs keep popping up and stemming off of stuff, and the different denominations of this and that keep breaking off. It's almost like nobody knows what they're talking about. Look it up. Both are on the NASA website. Okay, let's. The moon turns red sometimes. Like, are we sure they weren't just talking about like an eclipse, like a lunar eclipse? because we're talking about a civilization that would have probably more than once seen the moon turn red. So it might not even necessarily mean what's happening now. And predicted that time would slow down. Where does the Bible say that time is going to slow down? I think that the cosmological argument isn't God of the gaps, if I'm doing my thinking right. I think it is. Because you can't say that it's, it's not this, we have no idea what it is, therefore it has to be this. We can't make that claim. If we have absolutely no idea what brought about the universe, we can't make any kinds of claims of what it must have been. Because we aren't saying that we don't know what caused the universe, therefore it's God. I kind of feel like we are getting into that territory. The sun shall be turned to darkness, the moon to blood, before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. It's talking about eclipses. It's talking about eclipses. In a solar eclipse, the sun turns black. In a lunar eclipse, the moon turns red. They're talking about eclipses. Where does it say that time slows? I guess I can't say for certain that they're definitely talking about eclipses, but these are things that people would have seen and would have attributed to some kind of divine something going on. So it would make sense if they would then use it as some kind of end time prophecy. Everything that begins to exist needs a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. And I'm with you that far. And that cause must be outside space and time. This isn't a gap, it's a logical deduction. No. How do you deduce that it must have been something? How do you know that the universe hasn't always existed in some way, shape, or form, and that it just keeps changing forms? How do you know the universe isn't eternal? You're literally saying it has to be this, and we don't know what it was, because there can't be an infinite amount of days before today. How do you know? How do you know? I'm not trying to be too antagonistic about it, but we just don't know what happened before the Big Bang, and that's just the fact. That's just the fact. And we can speculate about, what it surely must have been, or what being would be able to do it if it existed. Because it sounds like the God being that you presented would be able to create a universe, but that doesn't mean that God being must therefore be there. Excuse me. Fuck. I even took my allergy medication before starting the live stream, and I'm still just bleh. I think it's not even the seasons changing, but it's just got cold lately where I'm at, so such a drastic change in stuff. Thank you. Because before reaching the present day, there would always be one day to go. Yeah, in Kansas. Before reaching the present day, there would always be one day to go. Sure. Why can't that be the case, though? If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. That's not interpreted typically as saying that the days themselves will be less than 24-hour intervals. That's saying that God's not going to drag out this punishment. He's going to be a more finite set amount of time that these things are happening, that not necessarily punishment, but that these cataclysmic things are happening. Because if he just lets this stuff go indefinitely, nobody gets saved. But it's not shortened days as in shortened 24 hours to 23 or 20 hours. It's shortened from maybe a month to a week, or like, 50 years to 5 years. It's a that. It's not talking about actually speeding up or slowing down time. Convo made me think of this. Psalm says, there is none who understands. No one seeks for God. All have turned aside. Together they have become worthless. No one does good, not even one. I guess everyone's shitty, and nobody ever does anything good, and nobody ever wants to seek God. You hear that, Ethan, and Moral Compass? You don't actually want to seek God. You're not actually seeking good, because Psalm says you're not. Have you always lived in Kansas? I have. Because then we wouldn't be here to experience today. Bridge that gap for me. How would we then not be here to experience today? Do you believe Jesus existed? Kind of on the fence. I don't really have an issue with the idea that a guy made some claims, gained a following, and got executed. That's fine. Don't believe in any of the supernatural aspects of it. Excuse me while I blow my nose, because apparently I'm dying. Ah, sorry, so disgusting. Just a disgusting mess. Universe can't have been eternal because if it was, there would be an infinite amount of days before today, so we wouldn't be able to experience today. I don't think that's how eternity works. I don't think that's how eternity works. I guess I don't really know what else to say about that. I don't think that's how eternity works. It could just work in a way that it is an endless timeline that doesn't necessarily have a beginning and an end. And we are at a point in that endless timeline. Assuming the universe is infinite, which maybe it's not. I mean, space-wise, it seems to be, but time-wise, which I guess going in one direction, it kind of seems to be too. B theory of time shuts that down. What's the B theory of time? And seeking God is called repentance, and just because we make mistakes does not mean we are not striving for good. Sure. Hypothetically, what would convince you about God? I have no idea. Moments in time exist equally. B theory is forced by general relativity. Okay. I'm not too familiar with it, so feel free to explain it however much you'd like. There can't be an infinite number of days before today because you can't traverse an actual infinite step by step. Both philosophy and cosmologically back this up. Unless, like Justin says, moments in time exist equally. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has cats and like they see you or whatever and they just do like that happy stretch. Snickers just did that to me. Simultaneity cannot be defined. True, Justin is smarter than me. I do not understand Einstein's theory of relativity. I think Justin is smarter than both of us, so don't feel too bad. That's why I welcomed him to continue explaining, because I don't understand fully. What do you think happens when we die? I think that our matter and energy just kind of returns to the world. We decompose. We, our matter turns into different forms of whatever. Energy transferred, sciencey stuff. And we decompose. But I think the big question that you're asking is like, what happens to our, yeah, there it is. What happens to our soul? I don't believe we have a soul. I think us, what many would qualify as a soul, our consciousness, seems to be a result of chemical reactions in the brain. And when we die, those reactions just kind of stop. So our consciousness, our thoughts, our feelings, our memories, our, whatever else, just kind of stop and go away. And essentially, from our perspective, we cease to exist. Even though our physical everything is still, here and whatever else. So what's the point? Well, what do you mean? So you think we live life for nothing? I live life for the people I love. I live life to learn stuff. I don't live it for nothing. I would agree moral compass, ontological, cosmological, and teleological are some of like the top arguments. And they're some of the funnest, in my opinion, to discuss. Because you kind of like get into it. It's a little bit more complicated, and you can like bat it back and forth and stuff. If there is nothing at the end of the tunnel, why go down the tunnel in the first place if there is just a wall? If someone invites you to go watch a movie with them at a movie theater, and you know the movie's going to end, do you just say, no, I don't want to go to the movies? You don't want to experience the movie while it's on, even though you know it's going to end? And especially if there's no afterlife or anything, this is the only life we get. So I'm not rushing out the door anytime soon. If I think that after this I cease to exist, I would like to live a little bit longer. I would like to not give up and say nothing matters and just quit. There is no objective meaning or purpose in that sense of the definitions. We just are here. And we try to make the most of it because we're here. And it's better than just giving up because we know one day we won't be here. We're here now. And there are people who were here before us who built the world that we live in for better or worse. And there's going to be people here after us probably who we can build the world for better or worse. There's multiple people, past, present, and future, all existing, flowing together. Through this journey, and being a part of that and adding your little bit to it to try to make the world a better place, I think is a great goal in life, a great reason to be, a great way to find meaning, if you will. Because you're right. There is no objective purpose or meaning. It's just what you make it. We didn't choose to go down the tunnel. We were born without consent. Yeah, I'm here, I'm here, let's try to make the most of it. It's just kind of what I think. I think it's a good way to be, personally. And there are some people, and I'm not necessarily saying that Ethan is this, but And then definitely not in the way that I'm using it. Ethan's not saying this, but you chose to be born. Well, you know, Greg's different. Greg's built different. There are people who say that, you know, without God, there's no objective morality. There's no objective reason. There's no, like, you know, objective purpose. So what? Why does that have to be? Why does that have to exist? Why does that have to be a thing that exists in the world? Why can we just simply not have a world where we just can't have a world where there's no objective morality and purpose and meaning? We just can't. Why not? Why not? How what moral compass? Oh, sorry. You were talking to somebody else. I'm sorry. You chose to be born, you asked for it. Greg came into this world through different means. Like a boss. From day negative 9 months. I don't know how many how many days 9 months is. Roughly 9 months. Day negative whatever. No, I'm committed to the bit. A month is about 30 days. So from about day negative 270, roughly, Greg was the boss. Greg was in charge. Better get out of his way. What did I just close? That's probably fine. Forge my DNA brick by brick. That needs to be like an actual like story. That needs to be like some kind of like comic book superhero. Like, I like that. I like that. Just the idea of like you existing in some other, you know, before your physical form, and you're just like putting that. It's badass. Hi, Doom. If in the end, and you mean God, and he sends you to hell, what are you going to say? What can I say? The hero's journey, baby. Hell yeah. Only catching the tail end because I was preoccupied with other things. No, I see how it is. I see how it is. If God sends me to hell, what am I going to say? You're a dick. Fuck you. You know, whatever. You know, I have ideas on what I would say to a God. You know, if even specifically the Christian God. You know, what I would say if I died and came face to face with him. I have some ideas. I have a lot of good questions. I have a lot of questions that would need a lot of good answers before I ever bowed down to him. And then if he didn't want any of it, then just bye. What if God just softly kissed you on the lips? You know, I might have to hear him out. You know, you know, I'm interested. You're like, all right. You know, you caught my attention. Let's talk about those babies you drowned. like I'm willing to hear you out. Even though I already was willing, but you know, if God wanted to be the highest good, they would send not a single person to hell, and certainly wouldn't send people to hell just for being a non-believer. Oh yeah. Jesus himself said that a lot of people aren't going to make it. God creates a ton of people knowing they're going to go to hell. He creates them anyway. Just, I don't know. Should be, I guess to be plot devices for the storyline of the believers or something. I don't know. He has to because he is perfect and can't live in the presence of sin. I thought God could do anything. Also, at the end of the Bible, it talks about, you know, this new Jerusalem that he has, where all these saints and whatnot are walking around with free will, getting along, and that they never do anything bad. So, like, you can just create humans, fully fledged humans and people with free will, and they still do good things. You can also, you don't want people to be in your presence? Sure, whatever. Don't make the only alternative eternal torture. If my daughter grows up and wants nothing to do with me, I'm not going to make it my personal missions to make sure she suffers. I'm going to want her to continue to be happy without me. God can do anything. He can create a realm where happiness and stuff still exists, but he doesn't have to be a part of it. He can do that. He can do anything, allegedly. If he can't live in the presence of sin, then he is not all good, because tolerance and forgiveness is needed most where it is absent. Perhaps. Not all good. Jesus came and lived in the presence of sin. Not all good. Not all powerful. Not all present, if he cannot exist with the sinners in the afterlife. You just knock down all the omnis of this all-powerful God. What is Kansas known for? Plains.
The Great Plains.
Yeah, plains. Like grassy plains, not like the airplanes. I mean, we got Wichita. It's like the air capital of the world or whatever. And we get some plains in like some of the surrounding areas. Some plains, I guess both ways. Plains, you know, plains. We got plains. I like plains. That's an ASDF movie joke if you don't know what it is. Yeah, farms. Got some of those. Yeah. Flint Hills. Probably nobody knows what those are. Grassy plains. You know, not too much. The Wizard of Oz. Got that going for us, you know. But you got some sweet haunted houses.
Anymore.
I'm told we do have some sweet haunted houses. I think some of the most haunted ones in America are in Kansas somewhere.
Sally House.
Sally House, there you go. I don't believe in that stuff. And even if I did, and even now that I don't, I wouldn't want to go visiting them, because like that's a hefty what if I'm wrong. It's like, how confident are you that you can walk into this place that a lot of people have had demonic attacks in? How confident are you in the fact that there are no demons? I'm not. At all. Nor have I claimed to be. I don't know if there are demons or not. I have no reason to believe that there are, but it's just like, listen, man. That's not the way I want to find out that I'm wrong. It's just to bring a demon home. He sent out Jesus to die so that the alternative of being perfect was just believing in Jesus. So if we just believe in Jesus, we're good. Just like if I believe that Jesus existed and then just lived my life just however I wanted, I could still be good. Like I can sin all I want just as long as I believe in Jesus. Boop, 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 boop. Greetings, my friend. Hello. An atheist can't be saved. Well, damn. I guess that's it. I guess I'm just fucked. What can you do?
Darn shame.
That is what is known as a free grace. Free grace. God's free gift, you know. God's Christ's free gift of salvation. You just have to dedicate your entire existence, the only life that you know you have, completely to me and following my rules. You have to give up your everything, turn your absolute everything into Jesus. Because that's how free gifts work. Please don't curse on my live stream.
I will put you in timeout next time.
I can do what the fuck I want. The Bible says if you believe in your heart and confess with your tongue that Jesus is Lord, then you will be saved. Sure. Then I don't have to follow any of the rules. It does depend on your theology. But if you keep sinning without remorse, then you don't believe in your heart. Are you sure? feel like sin is proof we have free will. Maybe. Are you sure there is no God? Nope. You cannot change your heart. Well, yeah, I don't. My heart pumps blood to the rest of my body. For domestic terrorism. I mean, my blood pumps. I mean, you can get a heart transplant, so like you can change your heart, but I know that's not what you're talking about. Like, you don't like hold beliefs and confess things in your heart and stuff. Believe in your heart. That's not like a thing that the heart does, as far as we can tell. Change your heart is determined by a chain of influences that have been going since the dawn of the universe, maybe. So you're more agnostic than atheist? I'm an agnostic atheist, as are many atheists. Meaning I don't hold the belief in a God, but I don't claim to know if there is one or not. Everyone's heart tells them different things. Christianity mistakenly proposes that everyone has a shared sense of right and wrong. It does. Can I send you flowers? No. But I appreciate the thought. You can put like flower emojis.
Who accepts those?
Flower emojis, To be fair, that depends on your theology. It always depends on the theology because nobody, to be frank, it seems like nobody knows what they're talking about. And when it comes to the Bible or religions or gods or anything, and everyone's just kind of making it up as they go along and coming up with all kinds of different things. Everyone has different conflicting understandings of what truth is, and those conflicting truths lead to different moral systems. Yeah. Everyone has a different definition of right and wrong, but as long as you mean well. I don't know if it's as long as you mean well. Like if I mean well, but like I slaughter an entire civilization of people, I don't really think my intentions mattered. Even Christian scholars be low-key saying most people arguing for Christianity dumb as shit. I might argue that most people who argue for most things don't know what they're talking about. There's even a lot of atheists like that, and I really try hard not to be like that. I would hope that I'm not one of those atheists who actually doesn't know what they're talking about. I try. I'm learning. Learning more every day. Everyone tries to do good, even bad people, but a lot of people will perceive good as something completely different. For example, psychopaths define good as anything that serves them. Maybe. Just study existence in general and you're most of the time pretty good. Yeah. Maybe. I definitely try, because the field of like debates and discussion over whether or not there is a God covers a broad amount of fields of just broad existence. So yeah, it does kind of take that. Everyone is inherently self-serving, not necessarily good or evil. Perhaps. What do you think would be different in your life if you did believe there is a God that loves you? Not really sure. I used to believe for most of my life that a God loved me. And my mental health has improved significantly since letting go of my religious beliefs. So there's that. I can look back at my life when I was a believer. It was kind of awful, but it's to each their own. Different things. And it might not be the same thing. If I come to believe in God now, it might be different. If Jesus was sent down just to be sacrificed for us, that means God needs a blood payment to be saved. Yeah. He's just sacrificed himself to save the world from himself and from a system that he created that all started with a situation in a garden with a piece of fruit that is absolutely 100% his fault. Kind of makes the crucifixion just kind of sound like a big egotistical look at me and look at what I did for you type of thing. And I wouldn't even call it a sacrifice. Jesus got back up a couple days later like nothing happened. He started walking around talking to everyone, let someone stick their fingers in his wounds like it was a party trick, and then he skipped back up to heaven. He's fine. He's doing great. Most people aren't purely malicious because they can be empathize. They can empathize. Hurting others literally brings pain and dissatisfaction on a spiritual level. It doesn't serve them. Yeah. It would hard not to be egotistical when you're literally a god. That is fair. That is fair. Were you abused emotionally by a religious person? Sorry if that's too personal a question. I was raised Christian, so the vast majority of people in my life were also Christian. So the good, the bad, the ugly was 99% from Christian people. So I don't feel like that's a very fair metric of measurement. I didn't really have many opportunities to like be treated poorly or be treated nicely by someone who wasn't a Christian. In life, we generate an identity given to us through a deterministic process that makes the self we value others or ideas or concepts. For example, I can save my daughter over myself in a selfish action. But technically I wanted it. Perhaps. I can. No, let me see the kitten. Smoking. Smoking.
Hey.
Smoking. 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 Sorry. El gato, yes, indeed. Perhaps is a great word. Perhaps is a great word. You know, I like using it. The temporary peace of mind knowing your daughter lives outweighs the pain of knowing you could have done something and didn't. That will ruin your life. You have no choice but to act. I might agree. I don't know what I would do with myself if I just let something happen to my daughter and didn't even try to do anything to stop it. I don't know what I would do with myself. It is still saving yourself from guilt. I need to go to bed. Get some more food in me and go to bed.
I didn't get food.
Do you have a praying grandma? I do have a grandmother that prays. I have a lot of friends and family that pray. I do think, as much as I like this conversation, it's a nice little conversation, some good people coming in last minute, I have to get up early, and I need to eat before bed, and I'm tired. So I'm going to go ahead and dip and call it a live for the night. If y'all want to continue talking to each other, I always feel bad about like interrupting people's conversations. If y'all want to like keep talking to each other, you can keep talking in the comments after, because I post these videos after I post these lives after I end them, so it'll be there. There's also a Discord. It's linked somewhere. I took the link away from the chat because it got to a point where like I'm not taking any voice chats. But there's somewhere in my description on my channel will be the Discord. It's great. I also am just like dying of allergies and stuff. But yeah, you keep this conversation going wherever. I don't want to interrupt or anything. But I'm going to end the live. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for the good conversations. It was a very nice, chill live. I very much enjoyed it. I usually go live every Tuesday night at about 9 p.m. about 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. But I like to do different lives throughout the week, just different extra lives. It's fun. So thank you all so much for being here. Even those who just, watched and didn't engage, that's fine. Any amount of support is always greatly appreciated. I'm a random nobody on the internet. I don't know if I deserve anything. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being amazing. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, whenever you're